This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
Well, hello, everybody. And right out of the start of the show, thank you to T-Bone. We now have 5 more BMR Pirates. Thanks, mateys. And congratulations to the gifted. Thanks, T-Bone, for getting the show started. This, of course, is Beyond BMR. Thanks for everyone for coming on in, wherever you're at tonight. We have a great show in store for you. Of course, as always, joining me in Studio B, the lovely Krista from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Please subscribe to the Blondes and Booze if not already. Please subscribe to Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, Texas Front Porch. Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World. Donnie Cho Says Stuff, Paranormal Paul, and Truth or Tinfoil. If you have not, go check them out and subscribe. Josh Turner, PRT. I was on his show last week. It was fantastic. Go check that out. So thanks for coming on in. You can find us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google, wherever podcasts are found. You can find us there. If you like to listen in your car or whatever and not watch the video, that's where we're at. We're on all of the social media platforms as well. The Super Chat's open, everybody. The Super Chat is a great way to help support what we do around here. Thank you ever so much for that in advance. And, of course, as T-Bone put out, you can become a pirate. So I do appreciate that. We got a great show, and I'm going to bring up Miss Tweety. But before I do that, I also, as you guys know, what I always need to do, I got to thank everybody for buying my books out there on Amazon. Bigfoot Mystery Represents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1 and Book 2. If you've bought the book, thank you. If you have, everybody, it's key that you leave a review because it's all analytics, much like YouTube. Like on YouTube, hit the like button, hit that little heart thingy in the bottom right-hand corner. It promotes everything. Again, leaving a review really does help me out. So thank you, one and all, for that. And, of course, I'm going to bring up Krista, as I said, but briefly, I'm just going to go through this while I got you all here. Y'all know about the September 19th and 20th, the Crossing Realms Conference at the Eagleton Civic Center, taking place in the Richmond, Missouri. You know, I really can't read this, okay? Our speakers, Josh Hurd, Heather Mosier, William Lunsford, Lady Ann Celine, Ronald Murphy, Dr. Dean Bertram, Greg Ogles, Frankie, and Dan from the Haunted Garage. We added Brian Bowden and Miguel from Sasquatch Theory. Also featuring everybody, Ken Gerhard, Dana Stricker, Brent Thomas, Ryan Edwards, Mike Familiant, Christopher Garantano, Linda Eastburn, David Glidden, and again, Miguel. So thanks for that, everybody. Really do appreciate it. And let me just get rid of this and bring up my lovely Krista. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I just want to tell everybody. So backstage, I was running my mouth, of course. And when I said hi and people started saying hi, and then by the time the show started, it had went too much. So I couldn't keep up. So I apologize. I was not being rude to anybody, and hello to everybody.
Yeah, you know, people got to understand, and everyone in chat is totally cool.
Flying tonight, so
it's flying. The chat is flying, and as you all know, Krista loves everybody in the chat room. I do my best to say hi as the show goes on, everybody, because we appreciate you. Without you, we wouldn't have a show.
Right.
And that also goes to the people that watch the show that are not in chat, because, like right now we've got 55 in chat, 58 in chat and growing, and there's probably another 200 watching right now. So you guys are just as important. We love you. I've got and we've got Keith.
To be rude.
Yeah, we love you. If we miss you, apologies. Before we bring up Keith, I've been talking with Keith for the last several months. Keith has been a subscriber to the channel, and then I found out he lives in Michigan, not too far from me. And we're going to talk a little of his experiences with Dogman and the paranormal. So I can't wait to bring on Keith. But before we do, Chris, I got to run this by and everybody listening. I've got this in my backyard, okay? I've got this mailbox. Now, the mailbox is not a traditional mailbox where you put it in front, where you put for the mail. It's just like more of a piece to look at, like kind of like artwork in the backyard. But it's extremely heavy. It's made of porcelain, concrete, and there's some ornaments on it. It's heavy. For me to lift it, it's extremely difficult to lift. Very heavy.
Right.
Michigan, we've had over the springtime and summer, we've got 30, 60 mile-hour winds when there's tornadoes floating about. It's fallen down ever. And it's got an opening where I put my small gardening tools in it. So that's where I store them. And last night, I'm downstairs, and I've got 4 inches of snow encrusted on the ground still, okay? And I heard this crash, a bang, very loud. And I got jolted. I jumped up from where I was sitting. I'm like, what in the hell was that? I run upstairs, and I turn on the back porch floodlight, and there I see this heavy-duty mailbox, which I can barely lift, on the ground, busted.
Wow.
And let me tell you something, the wind didn't do it. I told you we have wild cats that roam the neighborhood. They didn't knock it over.
No.
We've got some stray dogs that roam
You can't lift it. Dogs and cats aren't going to do it.
They're not going to knock it over. So it had to be a human being or something else. I'm not suggesting this was anything cryptid. I'm not saying it's Bigfoot, Dogman, but I was very disappointed of what I did. So I seen it. So I went out back to investigate. So I threw on my raggedy ass boots that I wear through the snow. And I was walking down. Then I realized I'm walking down the path line as to where it came. I was looking for footprints, but my feet, whatever tracks were there, I screwed up. I messed it up. So I screwed myself up. Then I was just thinking, but we have that creek by my house where my neighbor said that he thought he saw Dogman prints there. I think I told you that last year.
You did. Yep.
Yeah. And I looked, when I went back, they were washed away. So I don't know what's up with that. But then I'm thinking, what type of force? I don't think it was a human. Why would a human go in your backyard? Let's say they wanted to break in. They wouldn't go in your backyard and pull down a 250-pound mailbox. It's literally.
Is your yard fenced?
It's fenced. This is along the fence line. And I've got a lot next to me that's not fenced in, but where this was on, it was on the opposite side of the fence. So I just found it odd. I wasn't scared. I just thought it very peculiar is how that even happened. And last night, by the way, everybody, it wasn't windy. It wasn't snowing. So I was a little, I don't know, I wondered about that. Because it had to be physically brought down. And also, when it was brought down, it was also turned. It didn't just fall face forward. It came face forward and turned on its side, which is an additional amount of effort you had to put into it. I don't think it was a cryptid. I don't think it's Bigfoot. I don't think they're even around here. But I just found it to be very odd. That's all.
That is odd. Very odd.
Hi, Yvette Philgo. I live in the state of Michigan. Thanks. If you're new, please subscribe. Thanks for popping on in. So yeah, Krista. I mean, I thought
you haven't had any recent paranormal activity or nothing, have you?
Not that I recall. Most of my paranormal stuff's typically in the house.
Right.
But I haven't had that, knock on wood,
In a while.
a while. So
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
Keep an eye on see what happens again.
Yeah. So I see the chat is moving 72 people here already. And it's awesome. So thank you. If you're new, please subscribe to our channels, hit that like button. And we're going to bring up Keith from Michigan in 5, 4, 3, 2, boom. There he is.
How you doing?
Oh God. You're doing good, man. How you doing?
Oh man, I got the world on the string, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, you got the world on the screen. That's awesome. And really briefly for everybody in the audience, Keith's been a subscriber for a while. Very generous guy. In fact, he's going to be at the conference with us all coming up in September. I can't wait to meet you, my friend.
Yeah. And
so Keith and I had been talking once in a while, on the phone, and he's got some crazy stuff going on. Call it what you will. So I said, hey man, if you finally agreed to come on the show and walk us through whatever you want. And how I want to start this, Keith, is take it where you want to take it. But if you would like to introduce yourself to everybody, we'll get this party started.
Well, I am Keith from 1675. Now you got a face with me. Right. But nothing too crazy as far as the paranormal or cryptid research or anything. I am what you call a professional know-nothing. I am just a normal guy that's had experiences, man, probably for about the last 30 years. Yeah, it's been a trip. I mean, they're not all the time, so I can't charge admission. Go ahead.
I have a quick question. What does the 1675 stand for?
Okay, now 1675. This is, I think, Pancho questioned about this once, and what it was when I was about 17 or so. It's like 92, 93. I had just these series of dreams, very vivid, and I was on what appeared to be like a sailing ship, a merchant ship.
Okay.
And I fell overboard. I remember what I was dressed in. It was the wool, and it was roughly period dress of the very early 1700s. Anyway, I fell overboard, and it was just a repeating dream, and it went on. And I finally asked my family on the French side, hey, do you know anything about our past? I said, it's been having these weird dreams, and it's telling me that there's a connection. And they're like, oh yeah, our family come from France, and then they moved up to Normandy from, I think it was Gascon. I think they call us right on the Spanish border.
Okay.
And they went up, and they were royalty or whatever, and some big wigs. And what ended up happening is, I think they ended up running the shipyards or building ships.
Okay.
And they were in the whole shipping and merchant stuff. That's what some of my people did in the ancestry. So I just adopted it at that point. So the 1675 is just, I think it's almost like a time that I was born.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I was probably in a dream, probably 25 to 30 years of age. That's where that comes from.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. I didn't know. I was always curious, and now that I can talk to you, it was my first question for you.
Sure. And then Rob's got my number, so if you need to chat with me about anything, get it from him, and then we can shoot the breeze.
Sounds good.
I want to ask you, because I'm very familiar with Oakland County. Now, as you know, Keith, the largest counties in our state, Oakland County is very big. Wayne County, where I live, is big. Then we got maybe Washtenaw, Macomb, are probably our 4 biggest counties. And I've spent a lot of time in Oakland County a decade or so ago. In fact, another friend of mine lives in Southfield. I'm not going to give up her name. She's very private. A lot of people probably know her. She's had Dogman Experiences in Southfield, Michigan, which for me, to get to Oakland County, that's the quickest part of the county. I can get there in 20 minutes on the freeway. in Oakland County, certain sections in Oakland County would take me probably 40 minutes to get to. But as I've been going through Oakland County, it's one of the richest counties that we have. I think it's still number one in our state. And there is a lot of woods around there, but it's so busy. So many businesses, Keith, restaurants, depending where you are in Oakland County. And when I'm thinking about cryptids, I don't really think Oakland County. I think like Washtenaw County out in Ann Arbor, right? Because they have the majority of the woods where we live. Of course, up north, there's many more. But Oakland County is wooded, though, but they build up a lot. So that's the first place I was thinking. I wouldn't expect anything. Paranormal could happen anywhere. Rural, urban, big city. Paranormal's a paranormal. They'll come in your house. They'll come in your yard. Don't matter where you live. So where you live, what's the setup, the environment in your part of Oakland County? Because I know we're going to talk a little Dogman if you want to paint that picture.
Okay, so right now I'm in central Oakland County. Where I grew up was White Lake and Highland.
I know.
I graduated. Yeah, exactly. I graduated out of Milford. So that's going to be your utmost west part of the county before you get into Livingston. And Rob, you've been out there. It's nothing out there. It's built up a little bit since, but that's still farm country and some rural areas, kind of wooded. But the Highland White Lake area, yeah, you're right. It's got its wooded parts. It's got especially down by Milford and stuff. You have the Kensington Metro Parks, where I've dealt with one in there. White Lake has also Indian Springs Metro Park. Had something in there is not right. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But yeah, it's wooded. But the thing is you're right. Bigfoot or Dogman or whatever, people go, oh, well, how can you have something in that area? Well, here's the thing, especially with the Dogman that I've seen, or werewolves, two-legged wood puppies, whatever you want to call them, 6-7 feet tops. Now, that may sound pretty big, but if you get one of these critters running across the road in the middle of the night on all fours, you take a large male Irish wolfhound, man, they can stand 7 feet on their own.
Yep.
I mean, so in the daytime, you're not going to see much unless you're out in the woods. One of the parks where I was at, I saw quite a few in the daytime. But at night, traffic's not that much, and it's nothing to run across the street over there. So at a distance, my buddy, Rob, he lived there off of 59 and Milford Road, just south of 59.
I know where all this is.
Exactly. So where the old Highland Township Library was at, that's where he used to live. And it'd be nothing for one of these things just to run across the road, and no one would give it a second guess. I mean, obviously, unless it stood up on 2 feet, and that's a whole new story. But so they can get away with it to a point. So hopefully that answers your question.
I was looking again, and I know that they're all A-list faces. These cryptids can go anywhere. They've been in downtown Detroit, for gosh sakes, looking through dumpsters. In Oakland County, I just want to paint that picture. A lot of it is business-like, but there is the woods. Now, Highland Township, I built a house in Highland Township when I was married. I never had a chance to live there because I soon after divorced my wife. Yeah. But that was in the middle of the woods, too. And I know the woods are all over there. So I know that it just seemed weird that Oakland County has these creatures. And then a friend of mine said, hey, I got Dogman here in Southfield. Now, Southfield is not nearly as wooded as where you're talking about either.
Right. Yeah, one thing, this is for everybody listening. A handful of these run-ins that I've had, no, run-ins is a bad word, that's a negative, encounters. If anybody wants to look at, there's a scene from, I think it's Red Dawn, the remake they did. I think it's like 2012. Mm-hmm. I call it the cabin scene. Okay, where them people shot that scene at is right where them Dogmen are at. I mean, you couldn't get any closer. And in fact, one of the scenes where the kids were kind of propped up against a downed log. Yeah, I saw one right in that area, probably about 70, 80 feet behind them. And that house, that cabin, it is not pretty like it was in the movie. Trust me, it is a bad news place. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But on a supernatural level, horrible place. In fact, the wife has a coworker. This last weekend, she went out there with one of those. What is it? Is it the spirit box it'll show you a word? It's not like the one.
Yeah, there's
it's not like the
use.
Right. So it's not the one that kicks out like the AM frequencies and anything like that in fast succession. But she was out there, and Rob, I'll show you one of these days when I see y'all down in Missouri or whatever. The text messages were crazy. She was using one of those and texting me in real time. So it was, 2 Sundays ago. And it was nuts. I mean, it was evil. Get out, get away. And I said, just question about Dogman. She said Dogman, and the first things that thing said was Wolfman, Michigan, check your window, go now.
Wow.
And it was in that fast. I mean, and when I talked to her on the phone afterwards, she says, yeah, I didn't even say that. It just picked up on it.
Wow.
So it's a pretty hairy place.
Mm-hmm.
So bear with me, folks, if my mind goes a little cuckoo and
you're good.
off the ramps a little bit. It's just, I got sick a couple of years ago with that communist sickness, and it screwed my head up. So
Gotcha.
Wow. You're doing great.
All over.
Hey man, people are loving you in chat already. So yeah, you're doing great.
Oh, yeah. Can I
yeah,
I think I was telling you about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Sinfully Wicked. This is for you. We talked, I think it was a couple weeks ago on one of these shows that had the, someone made mention of Salem's Lot, the original.
Mm-hmm.
And now my family, especially on my dad's side, when I was younger, old country boys, rednecks, whatever, and they used to play tricks on each other. Well, so Salem's Lot come out in, I think, 79. So when this happened, I think in 81, 82, we'd all gone up to Fairview up here in Michigan, Rob. And the family, they had a big plot of land on the field with a trailer for hunting and everything and enclosed porch on it. And they decided one night to watch this movie. So what had happened, there's about a dozen of us up there in this single wide trailer. And they watching that movie, everybody's seated around, and my dad was closest to the door. Father gets up, I gotta go to the bathroom. He walks out, whatever. He comes back, sits down. Everybody's entranced in that movie. And this was near the end of the movie. And he snuck out of the house. Nobody heard him. Nobody saw him. But from where he was at, just outside the house, he could actually see the TV screen. So in that end of the scene where they're killing the main vampire, and then all the other minion vampires started coming out of that crawl space, and they locked him in, and they started pounding on the door. My dad started pounding on the bottom of that trailer. Holy shyster. Oh, man, never seen so many people running, grabbing shotguns and everything else. But, yeah, he scared the snot out of everybody, a whole group of people. It was great. So for Sin, that's what I had to tell you, but obviously that was way too much to text.
Yeah, well,
Awesome.
I tell you, it's a lot to text. I use texting. I go 2 sentences and I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I give up on it, so I just call. Rob knows. I'll just call you.
I oftentimes I will now call. I can text yes or no, maybe.
Right.
I'm not home, I'm busy, but I don't text paragraphs anymore. I like picking up the phone now.
Yep.
You're welcome, Sin.
Yeah, thanks. Sinfully Wicked. She's awesome as well. She just joined us a couple months ago, and she's really cool as well. I talked to her on social media quite often. She's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, let's go back to, I know you've seen a lot of crazy things. What can you tell us a little bit about some of your Dogman experiences?
Okay, well, this started, and it wasn't necessarily for me. It was actually for my dad. He was a firefighter rescue back in the 80s and 90s. And one night they had gotten a call, and this was, I think this was 91, summer vacation in 91. And my buddy and I went over to his house, but he had gotten a call. And he looked kind of off from this call. And, you know, you're in fire rescue, you see bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he would laugh and joke about it or whatever. Is this his way of coping? And this, he was a little, like I said, just a little off. I said, "What's, you have a run?" He said, "Yeah, we had a call this morning, and it was a like a medical backup for a police situation, and it was out there by that Indian Springs Metro Park, you know, the farmhouse that kind of butted up against it. And the lady saw something." Side note, crazy enough, the wife's co-worker bought the same house a couple of years ago. So wow. Yeah, but they had gone, and it was an all hands on deck type situation at this house. So department showed up, and they had there was a couple people there that were talking to both of the chiefs of the police and the fire, discussing something. They were not normal personnel. They talked to them, and everybody's good to go and waiting for orders. Mm-hmm. And both of the chiefs come up to where everybody was at, and I don't know exactly the words, but it was basically a subtle threat of you're looking for something that's not normal. Mm-hmm. But if you see something, that's fine, but it would be in your best interest to not put this in a report. I mean, I don't know how much of more of a subtle threat than you can get in that, but mm-hmm. That's how he told it. And what had happened, it was him and one of his buddies, they were searching areas or whatever, and there was something about his height. So my dad's like 5'10", 5'11". There was something about their height that was back off in some thick brush, but they could see red eyes. And I would stare at him, kind of move, do one of these things. And they called to the police people, and they come running with ARs and stuff. This isn't just little, pea shooter pistols or anything. They were coming with some firepower. Excuse me. And they put their lights on, everything like that, and started doing whatever the cop things do. And this thing kind of just went like that, and it turned and took off into the woods.
Wow.
And that was up there in Indian Springs. And I did have an issue later on in that park that was creepy. And I'm hoping that maybe some of you guys can shed some light on this. But yeah, and then when I started running into these things, it was the following summer vacation. I lived out there, Rob. I told you, like Hickory Ridge 59 area.
I know. Oh, man, I know what that is. I know what that is.
Yeah. Half a mile up. Yep. Half a mile up. There's a horse farm on the left.
And you look up that ridge, man, and you're on the road, and it goes, and there's that house up there too. You know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
Well, there's a big ass house up on that ridge, and you can see it from the road from 59, I believe it is. It's on Hickory Ridge.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, but anyway.
Yep.
That's but yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, so I lived up just a half a mile off of 59, and me and my buddies would just run around at night. Not anything crazy, not vandalizing, nothing like that. We were just going to do a little short walk down a side street, and it was dark out. And I had one of them little military flashlights, and I put the blue and red lens in. It kind of made like a UV light type color. Mm-hmm. And we're walking down this side street, and we got probably about 1/8 of a mile down it, nothing crazy. And I heard something rustling. I'm like, what is that? My buddy Rob, he said, yeah, go check it out, man. Oh yeah, whatever. Okay. So I could kind of see an outline of something, but I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it is, but I could see almost like head, like from about here up. So just the top of the shoulders and the head. and it was all thick brush. He says, yeah, check it out. Man, I did the dumbest thing. I stepped right in there, cleared the brush out of the way, and hit this thing with my flashlight. Now, it was kind of a dark flashlight with that purple color, but I was, if I had to punch, I was too close. It was probably within a foot face to face. And whatever it was, it opened its eyes, and its eyes were this dark ruby red color. I didn't smell anything. I didn't hear anything, nothing. It just opened its eyes, and its eyes, you know, they had kind of like the oval shape or whatever, but they're about as big as, say, like ping pong balls or golf balls. And they're between each eye was probably 3 or 4 inches. So whatever those eyes were attached to was a pretty big head. And oh, hell to the no. We took off running and we went back home. And that was it. We didn't get chased. We didn't get growled at or nothing. And then that was pretty much it for that time of the year. Now, what was it, 90? Yeah, winter of 92, 93. Still at the same house. I lived on a good sized lot, and had a pole barn at the end of the property. It was probably maybe 80 feet away from the house. I went to let my dog out, little hound dog. And I bent down, hooked her on a chain, had a couple buddies over. Dog went nuts. Hair stood up on her back, and she was beagle. Beagles are nice. She was barking like she was going to kill something. And man, I looked up, and we had a burning barrel over by the pole barn, and it was, see, a 50-gallon drum, 55-gallon drum. You're talking 37 inches, and it was on top of cinder blocks, which is what's another 8. So do the math. I suck at math. You guys get it. There was this. It was on all fours, and it was either a real light gunsmoke gray or white. And that would be my first visual of a dog man. And it was very short hair. Now my buddy down the street, he had a Great Dane. This thing was larger than a Great Dane, and I knew this was not the Great Dane. But anyway, I'm sorry. Back at the top of that burning barrel was just at its shoulders, just barely at its shoulders. So it was a good head above that burning barrel. And it had the weirdest eyes. And it was just standing there staring at me at all fours. Had almost like a rat type tail, real thin. And this thing was just staring at me, you know, like, hey, you finally noticed me. But its eyes were, I said in one of these other things I told on another channel, was if you look at an arc welder, it's that bright white. This was the color of these eyes, and it wasn't glow from the lamp that we had on the front of the pole barn. This was clearly in the back of the pole barn, and it just, and I was like, holy, and you know, teenager, what type of words are going to come out of your mouth, right? I'm yelling at my guys, and a couple of them, they looked out, followed the same words, and they grabbed a couple guns that we had, and they decided to be brave. And this thing waited for them to come out. They come out there, a couple long guns and stuff, and this thing walked behind my pole barn and disappeared. And it didn't run. It was just like, yeah, whatever. What are you going to do? And I'm looking, I'm watching this thing, and I went upstairs on the second level. I'm out on the porch, and I'm looking for this thing, I'm like, man, I don't see anything here. What's going on? And out of the corner of my eye to my left, it was on that side street, the one I had mentioned earlier. Give you a distance. I think our lots were about 170 foot, 160 foot wide. So yeah, you're talking what, 50 yards, 60 yards at tops. And this thing's just standing there looking at me like, hey, pay attention. I'm like, oh, okay. And this thing started walking towards Hickory Ridge Road there, Rob. And I grabbed a 30-06 on my way through the house. And what ended up happening is I'm watching this thing. I'm just watching it. And I got to that corner of that side street. And I put them crosshairs right between its eyes. I mean, that's nothing for a 30-06. I mean, it's going to pack a punch. And I kind of got trapped in its eyes. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. It had an intelligence behind it. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to shoot this thing. There's no why. Why would I kill this thing? Just because I'm scared? Ooh, whatever. But I put the gun down. I'm still watching this thing. And it nodded. It looked at me, just kind of went just real slow like that. It turned. One leap cleared Hickory Ridge Road. 2 lanes.
Oh my Lord!
And it from a stand. Now it's on all fours again. Now across there, like I said, Rob, just a half mile up on the other side of the road, there is a horse farm, and had a fence, whatever, 6-foot fence, and he had some wire on the top of it. It cleared it. Second step, second jump, cleared it, and it was gone. That's how this all started.
Wow.
Now. Any questions before I keep going, or?
Nope, you're good.
No.
All
right.
I don't like to interrupt, man. I love it. Love it. So does everybody in the chat room. We got 121 people listening on in. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. Subscribe if you're new to our channels, BMR and Krista, and yeah, let's keep it rolling, brother.
All right, no problem. I'm just looking at the screen. Boy, everybody looks different from on this side. But
we all do. We all do.
Yeah. Right. But we talked about it, but we kind of kept it hush hush because and then my one buddy, we'll call him Dave. The one that lived off of like the Livingston Road, Duck Lake, or I'm sorry, not Livingston Road, Milford Road area. He'd talk about it. And we'd make fun of him and everything because who's going to believe? You say werewolf, everybody's going to look at you like you need some medication or a padded room.
Right.
I've gotten it for years. That's why I finally decided to come out with this stuff after 30 plus years back in 23. But we didn't say too much. And let's see. Not much really happened until I think it was 93, 94 wintertime. It's January 94. I'm sorry. And if anybody's ever heard me say this before, it was 4:38 p.m. And I don't know why I remember that number, but it was 4:38 p.m. And we up there sledding on this hill back by I was telling you where that cabin was at, or the ranger station.
Yes. And
me and my buddy Dave were just sledding, nothing big, nothing huge. We sled for a while. Now behind that, it's all pine forest, and I think it was used at some point for. I think there's a mill that was next to there somewhere, just down the street, and so everything, it seemed to be replanted, but everything was in rows, so it just wasn't real thick. I mean, there was brush and stuff in there, but it was. But anyway, we're sitting there and. We decided to take a break. We're at the top of the hill. Some other kids were sledding. And off to my left, you heard something land. It's not very specific. You ever see it like where a coyote or a fox in the snow time, they catch a mouse or something under the snow and they pounce? Well,
right.
It did this. And we're looking, and there's a little bit of brush. Looked, didn't see anything, didn't think anything of it. And a few seconds later, you hear it again. Now it was closer. We're like, dude, this is weird. And we're all just looking. Dave's off to my right. And this is happening on my left. And he's like, I got a weird feeling about this. Something didn't seem right to him. And I didn't pick up on it.
Right.
What's out there? Who knows? Then it happened a third time, and it was close. And now my buddy, he kind of leaned past me and looked. Man, he turned so pale. And he's a Scottish guy, but so he's already kind of pale out as it is. But he turned pale, his eyes welled up, started tearing up, crying a little bit. Eyes got all big, and down the hill he went. And I'm like, oh, shit. I knew something wasn't right. And I just slowly turned my head. And it was probably 10 feet, 12 feet of me. It was, what is it called? It's across from me, so I could see it from head to, front to rear. And I'm looking, and it was like a, how would be a color? Like a white-tailed deer almost in the fall time when their color starts to change. It was kind of like that. But this had a mane on it, and I could see it was on part of its head, its shoulders, and then it went down its back about halfway. Now,
down his back.
I'm sorry?
It had a mane coming down his back.
Yeah. This here, let me be a little specific.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So with this, the hair was shorter on its body. It wasn't as short as the white or light gray one that I saw at the house, but it was short. We'll just say like a lab, like a golden lab or a black lab, something of that length. But the mane was considerably longer, at least double the length. Didn't smell anything, didn't hear anything other than the thing landing. Wow. And I looked at this, and it was probably from its shoulders, right at its shoulders to its hindquarter, and I do not recall a tail. I don't think it had a tail. Mm-hmm. But was probably 4.5, 5 feet. Very heavy, barrel-chested. It wasn't that tall. I mean, the way that it was kind of crouched down, I guess it was probably as tall as I was sitting on the sled. And I'm like, what is this thing? And then it started moving, and I noticed muscle definition, mm-hmm. even through that slightly thick fur. And then I saw what ended up happening is it started going behind me. So I'm not jumping up or anything, but I'm just doing this, kind of following it. And I got right to the point where I couldn't turn anymore. And this thing turned towards me and then crouched down. I didn't realize it then, but I realized it now. It had almost human type arms. Wow. It wasn't like normal dog arms, how they're positioned. I think they're kind of more bowed out, if you can kind of see that. This thing turned towards me and crouched down. And at that time, I saw its head and its muzzle. And this muzzle, it was long, but it was real. It wasn't like a German Shepherd. It wasn't like that, but it's real thick, almost like a Rottweiler would be, something like a thick muzzle, but it was that the whole way. Didn't see teeth, but the thing that was really creepy about it was that its eyes were black. And wow. What I mean pitch black, like in the movie Jaws, it was lifeless eyes, a doll's eyes. Yeah, it was like that. That was kind of creepy. And then when it perched down, I at that point, flight or fight. I had wings at that point. I just took off. And like I said, 10 feet, 12 feet, maybe. That was the first time being that close to one, well, other than the one that was off the side street. But I don't know for sure what that was. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say this other one is closer. What else had happened? Seen a handful, and now we go into. Now I'm believing my buddy Dave about this. I'm like, okay, buddy, I get it. I get what you're saying now. And later in '94 is the weekend before Halloween. Full moon, beautiful night. I was out with my buddy Dave and a girl who would be my first wife. We decided cruising back roads. Hold on. All right, so we're just cruising that back road. Robert right there on Livingston Road again, that dirt parts. And we went to a place where people will run their horses, mm-hmm. or they do like bird hunts and stuff like that. We pull in there. He pulls up right to the, why do I never remember the name of them things? Basically like a guardrail. There's a guardrail that was up. He says, yeah, I want to go check out something real quick. And he goes off to the left of this main trail, and he went down probably 100 yards. And my girl and I were watching him, and we saw he went down by this swamp. And we're watching, we saw something moving up behind him. Now, keep in mind, full moon, so you can see quite a bit. And something kind of come up behind him, up out of the swamp, and it was white. Or again, light gray. I'm like, what the hell is that? And it got probably 10, 15 feet behind him, and then it jumped over the rest of the tall grass, landed right behind him. Wow. I mean, maybe 5 feet. Dave turns around. He's like, oh, he does one of those things. This thing, you could actually see it kind of do the same thing, and it turned tail and booked back into the swamp. Dave, he comes running up, hurdles the guardrail. Now, he was a pretty big boy. I wanted to say, you know, I'm not knocking it, but, you know, he was, 5'7", 5'8", and probably weighed 275.
Wow.
So to see him asshole and elbow and hurdle a guardrail, he was spooked. He got in the truck, backed out, and we took off driving back towards Milford area. And a little bit of dust kicked up, and he's doing probably 40, 50 miles an hour. I said, Dave, whatever you pissed off, you better get moving because it's coming. I watched that thing run up that trail, hurdle that same thing. That's on all fours. Okay. And it cleared it. When it cleared the other side, it had probably 15, 20 feet past that guardrail when it actually hit the ground. And it caught up to us. Now, how far back behind us was it? I don't know, because I could, you know, he was in a full-size pickup truck and I could see it behind him. So I could see it on the ground behind him. So not too far behind him, but he got up to speed, and this thing caught up, and it only ran with us for probably tops a couple 100 feet, if that. And then it just darted back off into the woods.
Wow.
And now we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's enough. And then we decided to leave. We dropped him off, and the girl and I were heading back. We're like, screw it, let's go back down Livingston Road. Man, no sooner did we got on that dirt part of Livingston Road, there's a big old huge set of eyes standing there in the middle of the road. Yeah, it was a deer, but hey, but man, it just
Thank God it was just a deer, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was pretty wild. So not much really happened from throughout the rest of the 90s. I ended up having a son in 95 and a daughter in 98.
That's all in the 90s, Keith? That's all that happened to you?
Dude, I'm telling, this is, you know, it's one of those things I laugh and joke about it a little bit, but you know, it's, I think Tex had a show on the other day that was almost like a real heart to heart with everybody and just how people deal with this and cope with it and everything like that. That's how I do it, because when I actually sit down and think about it or something, it scares the hell out of me sometimes. And, you know, because you don't know what you're dealing with. You don't.
No.
And go ahead, Rob.
No, I said, no, you don't. And, you know, that's the reason why. Well, first of all, once again, thanks for coming on, because a lot of folks are apprehensive, you know, and we've been talking for a while, and I gleaned a little bit of your apprehension, but, you know, the best therapy is laughter and telling your encounters and your experiences. It helped me so much to talk about what happened to me, and that's why we have these shows. I mean, it's the number one priority for myself and the girls and Tex and everybody else, because you're not going to be judged here. You're not going to be ridiculed, because guess what? This happens. And if you happen to watch this show, you've been there, or you believe that these things are out there. So for you, Keith, I'm glad that you can talk about this in a public forum, because it helps you. It's going to help you. When you get done with this show, you're going to take a breath out and say, man, I'm glad I did that show.
Right.
And you're not going to be judged, because you're a friend of mine and you're a friend of the channels, and everybody in chat loves you. So you're doing a great job.
Well, and
he's a friend of mine. Forget about it.
Somebody in chat too, I don't remember who it was, said that they had wished that they had known sooner. I guess they're in the same area,
Yeah.
because they didn't have anybody else to talk to about this. So a lot of people, I'm sure there's people that'll be watching in the future that will see this and be like, hey, need to tell my story. So
Right, Rob. So with that being said, if it's somebody that's closer in the area, Rob, if they contact you or whatever, I'm giving an invite to that person if they want to talk about it or whatever, especially if we're close. That's out there. I didn't catch it for some reason. I'm staring at you people. So
Yeah.
but
as much as I can. Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you. You're trying to type everybody's name. You're like, hi, hey,
Yeah. No,
hi,
hello,
everybody.
Yeah, me too. We've got 100. Well, let me tell you something, man. I got 133 people in chat.
Well, look and see how many people's actually watching, though. You need to go do that.
Right.
I'll go check that out while you guys can carry it. Take me a minute.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see this for Keith here.
Thank you, Diane.
Ooh, let's see.
Thank you.
What we got here? Yeah, Keith, we've got I don't know, 130 in chat, and there are currently watching elsewhere, not in the chat room, 384 people. So yeah, you got a nice audience tonight, man. That's quite impressive. Thank you, Diane. That's awesome. Quite impressive.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good for you. That's great. Thanks to everybody.
And I do want to give us, I know I texted you before on this, Rob, but a sincere thank you to your crew. And watching, I fell on you guys by, actually you, Rob, I fell on you by mistake. No, freaky geek, that doesn't mean any innuendos. Would have stopped that. But I come across your thing just on chance, and man, absolutely fell in love with. There's none of this, I know better because I'm a researcher, give me money. There's none of that. And then your guests that you've had on here, there's no BS with it. Man, it is so refreshing to just, not only not be judged, but hey, watch my content for $100 a month. No.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's a sincere thank you to the whole crew on that. So if you guys are watching, thank you.
No, it's all for free. Of course, while we're at that, the money thing, we don't expect it. We appreciate T-Bone gifted 5 BMR Pirates are the T-Bone and the gifted, as Freaky says. Congrats to the gifted. I already know what Freaky says. It's like I got to memorize because Freaky's always in here. Walter, thanks for the super sticker. Sinfully Wicked, thank you for gifting 5 more Pirates in. And of course, Diane Boss, who's got to be one of our biggest and loyal viewers, supporters. 1 year as a pirate. 1 year today. Give a shout out to Diane.
Woohoo!
All right. Thanks to everybody. Not expected. If you're new, please subscribe, of course. And I got to tell you, Keith, because let me ask you, I know you got a couple other stories, but really quickly, in your experiences, you think Dogman is more of a comes spiritual, paranormal, or flesh and blood, or combination, or do you think he travels from realm to realm? In other words, does it exist on our plane of existence?
No, I don't want to talk about it. No. Yeah. All of the above on that is, with a lot of the things I've seen, and I've only gotten into a little bit of the things I've run across. They are. I think they're physical, without a doubt. I mean, that's, especially with the ones that I've seen. But I've also seen things that's made me question.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is one of the situations I had that we'll discuss either on this show or another episode or whatever. Oh man, how did I saw them sort of. I could see the shape. They were what appeared to be solid for a brief time, and I could hear them tromping through the woods. It was crazy. So you're talking something that's big and heavy, breaking everything that it runs into, and it started moving. And as it picked up speed, it kind of, I hate saying it, but kind of like that Predator look from the movie, how it kind of fades out. And
really quickly, go ahead. That is a thing that's, you don't have to hate to say that, because that is that glimmer man type semblance. A lot of people have described the Dogman as that, as well as Sasquatch. So that's always important data, because you're not the first person that's mentioned that. I think it's very important to bring that up. Thanks for doing so.
No problem. So even from a physical aspect of that changing the color, octopus do it. I mean, and they do some crazy stuff. You watch them just basically disappear right in front of you. So who's to say that something like this hasn't been instilled in these guys? Who knows? But the thing was, when this thing would run, I could still track it as it was fading out. But it seemed like the faster it got, the less you heard it. Does that make sense? It was like you're trumping through the woods, bam, 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 running through the woods, and all of a sudden it's in cheetah mode. Take off, you don't hear a damn thing after that.
Well, I think the faster the something moves, the less you can hear, because it's moving so fast they don't even produce sound.
Right. Yeah. So that was, and then, so I think they can be one or the other, or a combination. But one thing I was thinking about today was the ones that I have dealt with. Are they intimidating? Yes. Do they scare the hell out of you? Because you're not expecting something like that out in the woods. No. But are they aggressive towards me? Thank God, no. But I think that's because of my native background, and that's where my native ancestors come from, was that area. So, you hear these stories about the different colored eyes. I got a little theory on that. But another thing too, I was thinking, you got these Sasquatch. You hear it where they're just kind of chill. You hear them where they're kind of aggressive. And then you hear the things of what are them the smaller ones that got bad? Gugway?
Oh, yeah.
Is that kind of on the line of it? So what's to say that
the Gugway, man, I need to learn more from Duke. That is something none of us want to deal with. It's
a face eater.
It eats if you come across one, it will eat your face off.
Yep.
Yeah. And they are killers.
Yep.
Well, I got titanium in some of mine, so good luck.
Well, yeah.
but
Gugway will kill you.
Right. So that's my thing is, what if that the differences between, say, the Dogman that I see and a Dogman are just vile, evil beasts? What if that's just a different group, species of them? Does that kind of make sense?
Hey, man, I think it could be. I think with the Dogman, okay, I'll tell you this from my own personal, I get tons of emails. I've written 2 books. They cover Dogman, Bigfoot, blah, blah, blah. Every experience I've gotten, there's never been a killing, not like the LBL, but it's always been, they got the sense that it was evil. It grinned at them, and it gave them the sense that they could get them anytime. I think the Dogman likes to frighten you, put the sense of fear in you. Mm-hmm. I think that it's just is a prick that wants you to know that he is the top of the food line, the food chain. And you're just, a morsel should he choose to go after you. I think they get a kick out of scaring you. I do. Now, again, I think there are ones out there, aka the LBL, right? I think that happened. I don't think that's a lie at all. I think that happened and people were offed, right? Unfortunately, pray for them and their families. But yeah. But I think they come from elsewhere. I don't know if I'm going to call them flesh and blood. Oh, not disagreeing with you, because from the people that talk to me about it, it seems like they're there, then they're not. And you can say the same thing about Bigfoot, to be honest. Let's face facts with facts. Not that this is all factual. Bigfoot's been seen as a flesh and blood creature like I saw, but it's been transparent. It materializes from a stump. It goes from point A to point B at random speed. So who the hell knows? That's why we do these shows, man, because we don't have any answers.
Right.
Right. Now, one thing. Go ahead, Krista, if you had something.
No, go ahead.
One thing I've noticed throughout listening to different shows and the accounts from people is eye color. See what you guys think about this. Now, the ones that I've seen, they were the white eyes, didn't mess with me. I'm going to exclude the one with the red eyes again because I didn't see exactly what that was. It was just right here, in dark. But the red eyes, the ones I've seen, the majority of the eyes, blue eyes. Now, how I would let's see, how look up like a sapphire, or a sky blue sapphire, or a sky blue topaz, or anything like that. That's the color. That is the closest color I've seen. And they were laid back. They just kind of chill. They'd see me and I'd see them, and they'd just be about their business.
Yeah, Rob and I have a friend actually that saw one that had the she said it was like turquoise eyes. I'm talking about Bettina, Rob.
Yep.
Her encounter, and it was like turquoise eyes, she said, and hers was, like kind of chill. Mine spoke to her, but
it did, and it was on her parents' property.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now the one that I had, and I haven't spoke about it yet, but I had a few of those that had, I don't know what color these eyes were, because it was nighttime when I was close to them. They were shiny, but they didn't reflect light. Again, if I had to say guess, it was probably Dow's eyes. I don't know if I thought it was verbal, like just us talking. And this little one, man, told me to come closer. Nope. Nope. But anyway, back to the eye colors too. Then you hear about the amber eyes or the yellow eyes, and they tend to be the ones that, like what you said, Rob, is, yeah, I got you. I can get you anytime I want. And then the red ones, I think them are either going to be either demonic or what is it? Oh, what the hell is that? I hate saying lab-based, but engineered. That would be a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So, and they have just stupid attitudes. So I think there has to be something with the eye color. I could be wrong, but just I swear, over 90% of the accounts that I hear from people, eye color has something to do with it. I don't know if I could be convinced otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. None of us know, So, I mean, we're all about the theories, and, it's how we learn. But yeah, that's something I never thought about, the different eye colors, meaning different things. So makes sense.
Yep. And you want me to keep going, or you got any more questions?
Keep going. Yeah, I got to do something really quick for about 2 minutes, but we can go Dogman. Chris, if you got a question, we can.
Yeah, no,
everyone's loving you, man. Wherever you want to go, because the people are digging. I got to tell you, we got 145 people in the chat room. Thanks everyone for coming in. And I got to tell you, and you are a dude in Michigan. You're not a well-known. Yeah, you're not like a researcher that everybody knows, and the people are very receptive to your show, and I'm having a great time. I'll be back in about 90 seconds. Chris, so you can do whatever, or do what you guys want. Thank you for everybody for coming on. Hey, everybody, hit the like button. My buddy Josh Turner, PRT, just sent me a message. He's not going to go on until I'm done. He's enjoying the show, so he asked me to ask you guys. Go check him out when I'm done, because he'll be going live. I will be back in about 30 seconds.
All right. Keep going.
I don't want to. You can't make me. Oh, but man, there's some stuff where it gets pretty, I would say, intense. I think I should maybe wait for Rob, but I do have a question. I had mentioned it to you prior to the show. Maybe anyone else that's listening can chime in on this. But during 2004, when I started really running into some of these things, there was a situation where I'd come across some, and a little bit later on in the nighttime, it's either later that night or the next night, I don't remember which, but the same area. And I was cruising down that back road, went to turn by where that ranger station is at. And now, for a visual, for everybody listening, it's just a back dirt road, high embankments, both sides wooded. And I'm cruising down there, had an 87 Mustang. And I went to turn onto this road, and there was this black mist or a fog that engulfed the whole road. And it was cruising it was actually moving up the street. And when my lights hit it, it was black. The fog was black. My lights did not hit the embankment at all. It didn't. It's just like it just sucked it in. Now you could see it rolling and stuff like that, and you see like that world's blackest color that absorbs light or whatever it is. That's what it was like, and that was all fun and games until it stopped, and then started coming towards me. And when I mean stopped, it stopped for like 5-10 seconds. I was like, oh, that's kind of creepy. And then it started moving. It wasn't fast, but it came towards me. Has anybody
how were you,
ever heard?
How were you at that time when it was coming towards you? What was your feeling? Were you scared? Were you like startled? What was your body feeling?
I think I went.
You know.
I was just cruising, kind of anticipating possibly seeing another, wood puppy or something like that out there. That's what I call Dogman sometimes. But I was anticipating kind of seeing something like that. But when I saw that, oh, wow, I just did a donut in the car and took off. I've seen the Dogman. I've seen them close. I've seen ghosts. I've seen demons. I've been possessed twice that I've been told. That's a fun one, Krista, that you'd probably get a kick out of that. Especially, again, both times eyes were glowing blue. Just like what was out in the woods. I don't recall it. Only thing I know is I went to sleep. And something happened on both times. But again, I've seen demons. I've seen angel. I've seen an angel once. I won't get into that because it'll make me cry. But I've seen a lot of stuff. That fog or whatever it was, I think was going to eat me. So it's just I had to get out of that, and I stayed away.
Wow, yeah, that's scary.
Quite a bit. So, have you guys heard of anything like that, Rob? I was telling her about the that black fog thing.
I mean, no. I mean, I personally haven't heard of, there's, I've heard of fog and mist, but I've heard of, like black shadows, but you said it wasn't a shadow. It was like a fog, correct?
Yeah. I don't want to get into mine because I did not see it in the field or in the woods. Mine was in my house. You've all heard that story where I've seen fog roll down a hallway and surrounding me around my chair where I sat, and I got paralyzed. It was just very creepy. I've said it quite often, but that's what I've had experience with. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe Pops. Show Two Pops. Thanks for that. Yeah. You're awesome.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's on the paranormal side of things. I don't think it's a Dogman or anything like that.
I think anything associated. Yeah, sorry, Christopher. I didn't mean to cut you off. Anything associated with mist, fog in the woods, wherever. I think it's paranormal, like Krista said. That's why I think Dogman is part paranormal, and even Bigfoot.
Yeah, and this is all by that house. Again, if anybody wants to look at what that cabin looks like, it's that Red Dawn 2012 cabin scene. That is exactly where I've seen a ton of these things, all within maybe a quarter mile of that, except the one that was further down that chased my buddy up from the swamp, which is just down at the other end of the street. But yeah, that's creepy. I didn't tell you about that house, did I? No. We got time for that, Rob?
We do. We still got about 20. Yeah, we got 20 minutes. 30.
Okay.
We got time.
All right. So this here, from that time until I didn't really see anything until, oh no, shit. I forgot about that one I caught in the spotlight. Yeah, let's go that one. All right. So this was.
I would say something, Keith. Don't apologize. Take your time.
Yep.
Just rock the rest of this show, and then you can do the rest of your show on the Blondes and the Booze. How's that sound?
There you go.
Do that.
They'll get with you. I'm sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Krista will get with you. I know she's ready, planning on getting with you because this is just a great show.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Excellent. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, it was one night. I think it was like 99, 98, something like that. Again, same area, cruising down back roads. I had like a 2 million candle power spotlight. And this is the time I saw one that was more human as far as its legs. So, but I don't know what this thing was. It was really, how to describe it. Anyway, we cruised down this road and it's like 3:30 in the morning, just cruising around. Me and my buddies, we just sit and talk, driving around. And we roll up on this side street. Well, Rob, you may know it, Harvey Lake Road, right by Milford.
I'm familiar with Milford. I'm familiar with all that. I spent a lot of time out there during my married years.
So yeah, it was right in that area, and we drive up, and it was by where that old mill used to be, and there was this tree. I don't remember how tall it was, but like a bushy type tree, and there was a ton of fireflies all swarming around it. It was actually pretty cool looking, but there was a couple of larger lightning bugs that they didn't move, and that caught my attention. They were just large and not moving. I was like, what the hell is that? And then they blinked. Told my buddy, I said, what is that? And we're looking at it. We don't know. Man, I hit that thing. It was probably only like 75, 80 feet away. Mm-hmm. I hit that thing with the 2 million candle power. Hold on. Patty, no, I did not smell anything with the sightings. And even Rare was hearing. But no, I never smelt anything, with exception to whatever was out the window, I think about a month ago, that smelled bad. But anyway, I hit this thing with this spotlight, and it did one of these like that, and it had blondish hair. It was long blondish hair, kind of like a golden retriever color. I didn't see the face, but how close its hand was to its face, trying to cover its eyes from that light. It had a very short snout, if any. And it was probably 7 foot in height, maybe. I wouldn't have been any taller than that. But it almost had the body shape and some of what I could see of the face. Yeah, we're kind of 80s kids. Ozzy Osbourne, bark at the moon. That is damn near exactly what that thing looked like. We backed out on the 59. I don't care what was coming. No, this is an interesting thing, and I didn't mention. I think, as I talked to you a little bit on Rob, with sometimes when you would see these things, shortly thereafter, within a few minutes to the next day, you would see almost like a late model cop car. I'd say kind of like a Caprice, but not the big, huge ones from the 90s or whatever, but like a cop car. And there was always some weird, freaky looking meathead bald guy in it. He didn't look right. Mm-hmm. And he would park in front of your house and just stare. Or in my case, we're heading out towards Waterford, which would have been east of where we were at. We're sitting at the light, Rob, right at 59 and Duck Lake.
Oh, yeah, and Duck
from
Lake,
that,
gosh, I know them all. I know Duck Lake.
From that area, coming from the south, here comes that car, and I could actually see the guy in the car, stocky build, bald head, and it was weird because there wasn't much light emitted except from the traffic signals, but you could see him. I wouldn't say he was glowing, but it was kind of weird looking. But he takes off or whatever, and me and my buddy were looking at him. Well, dude, we got to catch this guy. And he got right just past where the Rob, you know what I'm talking about, where the Looney Baker, that little strip mall is at and everything.
I know the Looney Baker too.
Yep. So he got just past that, and my light turned green. Asshole and elbow, I go trying to catch this guy. He wasn't going fast.
I have to stop I got to stop you for 1 minute. I wish I lived out there. I've been through there many times, but man, this is like the ultimate place for me to live.
And Rob, you're more than welcome to come back out here anytime. I mean, we come out here. I'll cook you food. We can go for lunch or something like that. Wife wants to meet you.
Yeah, well, thanks. It's shout out to your wife. I'm going to come out there this spring, summer, man, and meet you guys.
Yeah, and we can go out in these areas, man. I mean, I'd be more than happy. I can't because of my body and that stuff is messing my body up.
It's okay.
But we can go around to some of the areas. I mean, we walk around,
great,
but I'm not. Thanks, T-Bone. See that.
Thanks, T-Bone. Thanks,
but,
everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you come out there, I'll take you there. I'm not going to go humping through the woods, through all the thick stuff, but we can go out there.
We'll talk later.
Yep.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, continue.
Sure. But yeah. Anyway, that car cleared that hill going right there into White Lake, and we were probably 100 yards behind it, if that. When we crested that hill, car was gone. It didn't turn into that side street next to that church right there on the hill. It was just gone. I don't have any explanation for it, and to this day, it still leaves me scratching my head on it. I don't know who or what this is. Now, my buddy that saw that thing, he lived there off of like the Milford Wardlow area, and that thing sat outside and he was on a private street. That car come back and sat outside in front of his house for like an hour, just staring. Never got questioned by anybody, never got threatened. It was just, I don't know if that was like a intimidation tactic, but it kind of worked. But yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, we can keep going for a little bit too, right? So
we got a few minutes. Whatever you want to talk about, we got a few minutes. We got we've been live for $1.20, $1.20.
Oh, so we go to what, to an hour 30, right? Roughly.
Yeah. So you got time.
Okay.
Take a breath and continue.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's for the rest of that time, it was pretty quiet. I didn't really I divorced my wife, and how did Han Solo put it? I ran across some imperial entanglements myself. So didn't really start seeing anything until about July of 2004. Mm-hmm. And again, it's back by that house, that ranger station. Now, before I get into the other things that I've seen, I was doing my community service at a place out in Wall Lake, and lady that was in charge of me or whatever, I was talking to her. She's like, "Oh, where are you living out?" I said, "Oh, we're out in Highland." And I gave her the streets, and she's like, "Oh." It was like, I'm like, "What do you mean?" Oh, she's like, "Yeah, have you ever heard of this place?" And she explained that ranger station. What ended up happening in that ranger station, she mentioned a little bit, I think, about the Dogman, but she mentioned more of the ranger station. What had happened back in, I think it was like late 90s. Yeah, like 98, 99. Some kids got in there from a local park, and they decided to do some Ouija board stuff, but they used live animals as a sacrifice. Well, when you do naughty, bad stuff like that, things tend to wake up, and something came out of the wall after them, something demonic. Wow. And scared the hell out of them. So I'm talking to this lady about this. She went and explained to like really good detail as to who did it, when they did it, what seance thing they did or ritual or whatever it was, what demon came out of there. I mean, she was like on point with this stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, keep in mind, I didn't mention it, but my buddy Dave had mentioned the same thing in vague detail. He knew there was a sacrifice in there and some bad stuff happened. And neither one of those two knew each other. Mm-hmm. And he had actually gone into that place, and now he was big into like the Norse type stuff and the old school Celtic, that type of faith-based religion type stuff. And he got into the, what is that, pagan? Yeah, pagan stuff where they do some rituals or whatever. And he did something with iron. I think it was, he did like railroad spikes or something. He drove them into this house to do some type of whatever it is he did. I don't know. And he come back to me when he did that, and he says, "Yeah, them spikes I put in, they melted." Krista input? Have you
Well,
ever heard of anything like that?
So iron repels negative.
Mm.
So there you go. You know.
Oh, geez. See, I never really got into that too much. I did a little bit with wife part two. She was into that, but I didn't know much.
I've done several private cases where, like I have horses. And so we always have horseshoes around and things like that, horseshoe nails. So when I do a private case, a lot of times I'll take, like horseshoe nails and stuff and put them in their windows and just to keep, negativity out. So.
Okay, that explains it. But yeah, it's that place. It just had so much negativity. That's what I was talking about before the show about the wife's friends' text messages. Yeah, that was that place. This is where I don't think that all dogmen are necessarily bad. Is anytime that I would come up near that house. Not all the time, but it just makes me nervous being around it, but they try to distract you I wouldn't scare you, to draw you away from it. I am 100% certain on this, in my belief is that this dogmen keep whatever's in that house in there. They don't want people coming. They're almost protective. And it's one of those things. I try to touch the house. I never do. But you get that infrasound. It comes from behind and it makes me sick. Makes me want to throw up. So, and I never knew about that stuff until this show. So thank you again. You guys really have taught me a lot of different things, especially with your guests. I believe wholeheartedly they protect whoever's there to not go in there. So is what it is. Wow. Yeah. And I probably got it, Rob. I probably got another show's worth.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, on this stuff. So I don't want to cut you.
Well, you know
I don't want to.
Here's the thing. I think that, we just hit 150 subscribers.
Hell yeah.
150 in chat, I should say. Not 150 subscribers in chat. Nice. You know what? We can wrap it down here in a minute because I'd like you to save that for I won't go on the blondes and you can come back and see me. I could tell you got 5 hours worth of material. I'm going to have you back. The blondes are going to have you on, I'm sure, which would be awesome. And I got to thank everybody for coming in the chat room. This is kind of a milestone for me. I don't know, Krista, that I've had 150 in the chat room. I might have had it on with Josh Turner, who's going to be on
your show. You had more.
Josh has been on. I usually get more than that, but that's Josh is huge, and he'll be on after this show. Go check him out. PRT Paranormal Roundtable. But I got to thank you guys. This has been a great show, and you know what, Keith? I'm gonna have to rewatch this show because I gotta really. When I do a show, I listen. And I've heard everything you said, but I'm going to have to rewatch this because I'm sure I missed a little bit because I'm trying to think of what to ask. No problem. You. But no, it's been one hell of a show, and I'm glad I've had you on. And really briefly for everybody, thank you to T-Bone for gifting 5 pirate members. Walter for the super sticker. Sinfully for gifting 5 pirates. Cinny. Diane, member for 12 months. Joe with the super chat. And T-Bone once again, this time with a super chat. Thank you for that. Not expected, but always appreciated. And I got to tell you, I've had a lot of fun, Krista?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll definitely have you on Blondes. I'm booking into April now. So
yeah. So Keith, they're already saying we can't wait to see Keith come back on. Things like that. So you're going to see Keith at least a couple more times between now and the summer, and maybe we'll have you on. I tell you what, Keith, you'll be coming down. Go on the Blondes next. I tell you what, when we get closer to the conference, maybe we'll bring you back on this show.
You got a conference coming up. Why don't you tell anybody? Oh,
well, you've already bought all your tickets. Yes. We don't promote the conference at all. We don't promote it. You know that. You know us.
Right.
September 19th and 20th. Get your tickets. And Krista, not to scare folks.
Thanks, Jason.
But the rooms where we're staying are filling up, aren't they? Are they not, Krista?
When I talked to her last time, she told me they were.
You know, and again, we don't know how true that is, but I'm guessing that they're getting filled up. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they are. That's what the gal told me. So there's that motel, and then the next closest one is like 8 miles. So
but that's not to hinder anybody. 8 miles, big deal. I'm just saying, because we saw the ghost hunt, and we've gotten a lot of ticket sales already for 8 months out. So thanks to everybody who bought the tickets. We've got like 15 people, guests, featured folks, and speakers, plus our crew. So there's going to be like a ton of us. It's going to be a great time.
People there.
It's going to be a great time.
Yep, for sure.
Thanks for everybody for. Yeah, I'm sorry, Krista. Go ahead.
Nothing. I just said for sure.
For sure. And Keith, I got to tell you, brother, I'm glad we've met. I'm glad we've spoken on the phone. I'm definitely going to come visit you out in your part of town in the spring or summer. We'll hook up, and cook some burgers, go check out your areas, just drive around. That'd be a lot of fun.
Would love to see the crew come up here and do the whole Mackinac Island gig. Holy cow!
You never know what our crazy crew has in store for you.
That's nice. That's nice. Your foot, them bodies are 18 inches under the soil. Yeah, they're right there.
Island. Hey, I tell you what, Mackinac Island is the island of the dead, and I'll leave it at that. So thank you, Keith. Thanks for everybody for coming on, and go check out Josh. And before I leave you, though, today is Tuesday. Krista, Thursday night, what's going on?
We have Marie Dumont. We're going to be talking Florida Skunk Ape.
She's Midwest Florida, I believe, right? Something like that.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure.
She's a peach. She's a doll. She's awesome. Great
Mid
research.
Florida, Central Florida research or something.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, she's awesome. She'll be great for you on the show. She's a sweetheart.
A lot of years experience too.
And she is a true. She's big. She's Bigfoot 24/7. She really is.
Yep.
Hey, Rob, can I say just one more thing real quick to the chat crew?
Go ahead. No, you can.
Hey, okay. If everybody in chat, if you guys have any questions or whatever, I can just look at the comment section post show on this, and I'll be more than happy to answer anything that may be in your brain pan. I don't have a problem with that. And then Rob, like I said, the one that you knew that was close out here, if they wanted to chat or something, feel free. Of course, give the crew my number and email if they need it, whatever. I'm cool with that.
I certainly will. I'll just keep that between me and my crew here, our crew together. And we'll do that. No problem. No problems whatsoever. Great show. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for everybody for coming in. 459 people watched this already, which is like great.
Fantastic.
So thank you. Hit the like button on your way out. 120 still in the chat, but you're dwindling out. I appreciate and love you guys. Thanks for the support and the love. I'm BMR, and for Krista and for Keith, we are officially out.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.